Before you scroll away, imagine discovering that the person you barely notice every morning is quietly changing your child's future. Stay with me until the end of this story, because what this CEO learns will flip everything she thought she knew about success, intelligence, and kindness. And if stories that move your heart and open your eyes matter to you, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one. On the morning it all began, Amelia Grant stood in the glass-walled conference room of her company's headquarters, staring at numbers that refused to make sense. The skyline behind her glittered with achievement, a monument to everything she had built from nothing. Amelia was a self-made CEO, known in business magazines as ruthless, brilliant, and unstoppable. What they didn't write about was how tired she was, or how every success came with the quiet guilt of missed dinners, cancelled school events, and a growing distance between her and her 12-year-old daughter, Lily. Lily had always been quiet, observant, and different. While other kids chatted about games and trends, Lily liked puzzles, patterns, and questions that had no easy answers. Still, her grades in math had started slipping. The school sent emails. Tutors were hired. None of it worked. Amelia told herself it was normal, that pressure was getting to Lily, that she would handle it once the next big merger was complete. There was always a next big merger. Every morning, before the building truly woke up, Mr. Raymond cleaned the halls. He was in his late 50s, with graying hair, careful hands, and a presence so gentle most people barely registered him. To Amelia, he was just part of the background, a man she nodded to without really seeing. She didn't know that Raymond arrived early not just to clean, but because the quiet hours reminded him of a life he once had, one filled with chalkboards, lectures, and students who believed in him. Raymond noticed Lily long before Amelia did. Some afternoons, Lily sat on a bench in the lobby, waiting for her mother to finish meetings that ran late into the evening. She would pull out a notebook, scribble numbers, then angrily erase them. One day, Raymond paused while emptying a trash can and gently asked if she liked math. Lily shrugged and said she used to, before it got too hard and everyone else seemed to understand things she didn't. That was the first day he helped her. He didn't teach her the way textbooks did. He asked her questions. He told her stories about numbers, about how math was just another language, one that described the world if you listened closely. Lily didn't even realize she was learning advanced concepts. To her, it felt like solving riddles with a kind grandfather who believed she was capable of anything. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Lily's posture changed. Her eyes lit up when she talked about math. She began asking for harder problems, ones that went far beyond her grade level. Raymond brought old notebooks from home, filled with proofs and theories he never thought he'd use again. Teaching Lily filled a hollow space in him he'd carried since life had forced him away from academia and into survival mode. Amelia remained unaware, buried in deadlines and decisions that affected thousands of employees. She noticed Lily seemed happier, but she assumed it was a phase or the new tutor finally clicking. It wasn't until Lily's school called requesting an urgent meeting that Amelia felt the familiar spike of anxiety tighten her chest. The math teacher looked stunned, almost unsettled. Lily had solved a problem in class that was typically introduced in advanced high school courses. When asked how she knew it, Lily casually explained the concept. Step by step, with a clarity that left the room silent. The school wanted to know who was teaching her. Amelia was speechless. She drove home that night replaying the conversation, wondering how she had missed something so important. When she asked Lily directly, Lily hesitated, afraid she'd get in trouble. Then she smiled and said, "It's Mr. Raymond, the janitor. He says titles don't matter when you're learning." The words hit Amelia harder than any boardroom defeat. The next morning, she arrived early, something she hadn't done in years. She found Raymond polishing the floor near the elevators. For the first time, she really looked at him. She introduced herself properly, thanked him awkwardly, and asked about his background. Raymond didn't boast. He simply explained that he once taught mathematics at a university, that circumstances had changed, and that teaching Lily reminded him of why he loved the subject in the first place. Amelia felt a mix of shame and awe. She had built an empire on recognizing talent, yet she had walked past it every day without noticing. She apologized, not just for herself, but for a world that often measures worth by job titles instead of impact. But challenges didn't disappear overnight. When word spread, some parents questioned why a janitor was teaching advanced math to a child. A few executives worried about appearances. Amelia faced a choice: protect her image or protect what was right. For the first time in a long while, the decision was easy. She offered Raymond a position in the company's educational outreach program, funding after-school learning initiatives for employees' children and local communities. More importantly, she asked him to continue mentoring Lily, not as a secret, but as a respected educator. The change in Lily was profound. With her mother finally present at dinner, listening instead of checking emails, Lily thrived. Amelia began leaving work earlier, realizing that no deal was more valuable than the child waiting for her at home. Raymond stood taller, his voice steadier, his purpose renewed. At the end of year company gathering, Amelia told the story publicly. She spoke about blind spots, about humility, and about how leadership begins with listening. She introduced Raymond not as a janitor, but as the man who reminded her that greatness often hides in plain sight. If this story moved you even a little, let it remind you to look again at the people around you. Talent doesn't always announce itself. Wisdom doesn't always wear a suit. And sometimes, the most important lessons come from those we almost overlook. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear that their value is more than their title. Because you never know whose life you might change by simply paying attention.